But if you give a stat for just young men, it is chilling what they were doing to those young boys, and they knew it, that they were doing it because the data was there. He's grabbing. This isn't new data. Another big happening this week at the FDA is that they're now requiring different labeling on the COVID vaccine. I put it in quotes. FDA approves required updated warning and labeling of mRNA COVID-19 vaccines because of myocarditis and pericarditis. And so here is Vinny Prasad, who's the head of the vaccine over at the CDC. Is it CDC? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
FDA. Is it FDA?
FDA. So here's what he had to say. When they started, he gave us a little background on of all the science that had been buried about the myocarditis and pericarditis that was being signaled and that the government was suppressing. And some of the signals were coming from the military. They were saying, hey, these people we're injecting them with the COVID. So let's listen to what he says.
The rates of post-vaccine myocarditis in men between the ages of 13 and 24 from 2021 have been documented in a number of publications and public documents. In August of 2021, in an FDA regulatory action, we document that based on the health insurance claims Optum dataset, the rate of post-vaccination myocarditis from the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was approaching 200 cases per million, or approximately 1 in 5,000.
1 in 5,000 persons, or people from young men who are getting the Pfizer COVID vaccine, 1 in 5,000 were experiencing myocarditis. 1 in 5,000. That's 200 per million. That's an unbelievable statistic, is it not, Mary?
It is. You know, our view is that these shots really should not be on the market anymore. They are so injurious, but they were causing heart attacks, heart disease in young men, inflammation of the heart muscle and the muscles around it. And the CDC was hiding the data. We did work to uncover this. Senator Ron Johnson just held a subcommittee hearing about this. This is scandalous, really. They buried the data to keep people taking the shots without knowing that there was a real risk, especially for young men, but really for anybody.
And there are colleges last year that were still mandating that young men had to take this COVID vaccine or else they couldn't go to that college. And this data was out there. And
You're absolutely right. I'm very grateful. The Trump administration did issue an executive order at the beginning of this year saying they weren't going to give federal funding to higher education institutions that continue to mandate the COVID shot. So that was a small step in the right direction. But this issue isn't over by a long shot, Jimmy. This whole mRNA platform really has, just lots and lots of problems that have not yet been adequately addressed at the governmental level.
So here it gets even scarier.
Prospective study in Hong Kong published in 2021 showed post-vaccination myocarditis was approximately 1 in 3,000 for the second Pfizer dose in 13 to 18-year-old men.
So in Hong Kong, they did a study, and it was 1 in 3,000 young men between 13 and 18 had a myocarditis event after their vaccine. 1 in 3,000. This is crazy. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you don't get to regrow your heart muscle, right? These are permanent disabilities that these people are going to suffer. This is not something that you can recover from. It's really not. So these people may need heart transplants.
So he has more to say.
And using the VSD, Vaccine Safety Datalink data, Scharf and colleagues showed approximately 1 in 2,000 risk of post-second mRNA dose in 18 to 24-year-old men.
1 in 2,000 in 18 to 24-year-old men. So these studies have been out there. So there's more. This is unbelievable. 1 in 2,000. Do you know when the swine flu came out in 1976, 1 in 100,000 people had an adverse event and they pulled it. Here, 1 in 2,000.
And it's still on the market, Jimmy.
Still on the market.
Still on the market.
He's got more to say.
There's an elegant analysis put together by the team led by Tracy Beth Hug and others of post-vaccine myocarditis rates reported in 2021. And basically you see across different demographic categories, with the far right being men between the ages of 12 and 17, an elevated risk that in some publications.
So here's the men between 12 and 17. Do you see? So you have to look, you can't. So what they would do is they would take everybody from 0 to 120 years old, and they would give you the stat for them. But if you give a stat for just young men, it is chilling what they were doing to those young boys, and they knew it, that they were doing it because the data was there. He's grabbing. This isn't new data.
You're right.
So hang on.
Exceeded 300 per million. Active surveillance from Hong Kong confirmed a broadly similar risk in men between the ages of 13 and 18. A 1 in 2,700 had experienced myocarditis and were hospitalized following dose 2 of the Pfizer product. And the vaccine safety data link, in a very interesting analysis by Scharf and colleagues, was found to have initially missed 64% of myo and pericarditis cases. The authors note, quote, an incomplete list of ICD-10 codes and delays in hospital claims data were responsible for the difference between the VSD reported estimate and a careful chart review estimate. Stratification by demographic factors is key to unpacking the myocarditis risk from COVID-19. In an analysis led by Benjamin Knudsen and myself prior to joining the FDA, we analyzed publications that examined the risk of vaccines and myocarditis that had 0 stratifiers, in other words, looking at all the doses given and the entire population, all the way to 4 stratifiers, which include looking only at men in certain age ranges and only certain products and certain doses. And as you can see, there is an association between looking in the right subpopulation, where this is a known safety concern, and the actual rate with which you'll find the safety signal.
So what he's saying is that, of course, the establishment didn't want you to look at the population of people that this was actually happening to at the highest rates. They wanted you to look at everybody, and instead of looking at the people that it was really affecting. So here's his take home. He has this. Here's your take home from his presentation. It was a 15-minute presentation. Here's what he says. The takeaways from it are:
assess the benefit risk balance. Take-home points. The FDA concludes that the 2023 to 2024 mRNA vaccines have an unadjusted crude risk of myocarditis of 27 per million in young men. This risk has persisted across all of the doses of the product that we've examined. Vaccine-induced myocarditis, when leading to hospitalization, is associated with baseline and persistent late gadolinium enhancement in the majority of patients in our funded study. LGE is a known poor prognostic marker generally, though the full implication of it is unknown in the specific setting. Because of these factors, an SLC was issued. FDA's SLC was initiated by career FDA staff. It represents the latest action.
So can you remind me, what does SLC stand for? Do you know what that stands for, Mary?
I'm not sure what SLC
I looked it up 3 times today. I wrote it down and I don't have it in front of me. But it's basically, it just means that they're changing the warning label on the COVID.
Yeah. So, which is good news. It's a step in the right direction. It doesn't get us to where we need to go, especially because these shots actually, again, much like what you were showing with the flu shot, there's very strong evidence showing that the more the COVID shots you get, the more likely you are to get COVID. They don't stop transmission. So this is so crazy that we're still even offering things that don't work to people for whom it can cause permanent heart damage.
So SLC stands for Safety Labeling Changes. That's what the SLC does. So they're changing the label, the warning label on the COVID vaccines because of this.
Which is great. And, they also, the CDC also changed the recommendation for pregnant women and for children for the COVID shots, saying that it's now shared decision making. But again, they're still on the market. And really, we haven't had the reckoning that we have to have about what went down during COVID.
And we never will. But Nicholas Holster says the FDA, he's from the McCullough Institute. He says the FDA still ignores that COVID-19 vaccine-induced myocarditis can be fatal, refuses to issue a class 1 recall or even add a black box warning. Our peer-reviewed autopsy study proved a causal link between COVID-19 vaccines and death from myocarditis. So, and he links that study.
He's an epidemiologist, and he's doing some really terrific work. This is really troubling, Jimmy. The cat is out of the bag. These shots are incredibly dangerous and they don't work, but they're still slow walking this. And, I regret to say that, frankly.
Well, I have to correct you, Mary, that the vaccine it does work. It is safe and effective, according to YouTube scientists, even though now the FDA and the CDC are saying certainly different things, but I'm have to inform everybody, or else I'll have my channel yanked, that the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. And Noah, you're right; it doesn't stop transmission or contraction like they said it did, but it will slow transmission and contraction, whatever that means, and it'll keep you from being seriously ill, hospitalized, or death. So there, I think I've met my obligation.
Good for you.
So there you go. And no, I'm not winking as I say this. Well, listen, I really appreciate you making time. I think this is, everybody is everybody I know, everybody in Maha, everybody who was excited about RFK getting the position, we're anxious for quicker change, right? And it's coming slowly, but it's coming. So this is the first time in my life that the FDA, the CDC, and the HHS is going in the right direction. So these are huge. I think, again, a lot of people want to see things happen faster. Just like right here, Nicholas Hutchinson, and a lot of people want to see them just yank a lot of these products off the market. But we're going in the right direction. They actually are starting to rebuild trust. And so I have to give kudos. It's the one bright spot for me in the Trump administration right now.
They certainly are working in the right direction, and Bobby Kennedy's heart is in the right place on these issues. And I think the interview that he just gave on Monday with Tucker Carlson was very revealing. He really knows a lot about this stuff, and he's absolutely working to make people healthier, make America healthier again.
Okay, Mary Holland from the Children's Health Defense. I really appreciate you taking time. Everybody should check out your website. Go watch Vax 1, 2, and 3 over there, and it'll blow your mind. So thanks for sticking your chin out. Thanks for making time for us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.